In a distant future, the planet Mechavilia shimmered under the light of two suns. This bustling world was entirely inhabited by robots, from towering construction bots that built the gleaming skyscrapers to tiny cleaning bots that scurried about keeping the streets spotless. In the heart of this mechanical paradise stood the Lumina Core, a massive crystal that radiated energy, fueling the entire city. The Lumina Core had always glowed brightly, its soft hum a reassuring sound that filled every robot with a sense of peace and unity. Among the thousands of robots living in Mechavilia, there was one that stood out, not because of its grandeur or capabilities, but because of how unassuming it was. This little robot was named Spark. Spark was a maintenance bot, no taller than the wheel of a delivery drone. Its design was simple: two round eyes that glowed with a soft blue light, a compact rectangular body, and a pair of multi-tool arms designed for fixing broken wires and tightening screws. Spark spent most of its days mending small cracks in pipes or reprogramming stuck door panels. Other robots often overlooked Spark, considering it too insignificant to do anything extraordinary, but Spark had a dream. While others were content with their roles, Spark longed for adventure. It would sit on the edge of Mechavilia's gleaming towers, staring out at the distant horizon, wondering what lay beyond the towering walls that encircled the city. The Forbidden Wastes, a barren expanse that stretched as far as the eye could see, were a mystery to all. Stories of monstrous machines and ancient dangers made it a place of fear. Yet Spark couldn't shake the feeling that it was destined for something greater than patching pipes and repairing machinery. In a distant future, the planet Mechavilia shimmered under the light of two suns. This bustling world was entirely inhabited by robots, from towering construction bots that built the gleaming skyscrapers to tiny cleaning bots that scurried about keeping the streets spotless. In the heart of this mechanical paradise stood the Lumina Core, a massive crystal that radiated energy, fueling the entire city. One fateful day, the unthinkable happened. The Lumina Core began to dim. Its radiant glow, which had powered the city for centuries, flickered and faded, leaving parts of Mechavilia in darkness. Without the core, the entire city would lose power, and life as the robots knew it would cease to exist. Panic spread like a virus through the metallic streets. Robots of all sizes gathered in the central square, their once bright eyes dimmed with worry. The Council of Elders, ancient robots with rusting frames but vast knowledge, convened to address the crisis. They discovered that the Lumina Core's energy was being drained by a mysterious force emanating from the Forbidden Wastes. The elders speculated that something, or someone, had corrupted the energy flow, pulling power away from the city. A call for volunteers went out. Who among us will venture into the Forbidden Wastes to uncover the source of this darkness? The council asked. For a long moment, silence filled the square. Every robot feared the wastes, and none dared to take on the perilous task. Just as despair began to settle over the crowd, a small voice piped up. "I will go." The robots turned to see Spark stepping forward. Its small frame seemed almost comical amid the towering figures around it. A murmur of disbelief rippled through the crowd. "You," scoffed a combat droid. "You're just a maintenance bot. What could you possibly do out there?" Spark's blue eyes glowed with determination. "I may not be big or strong, but I can try. Someone has to save the core, and I won't stand by while our city fades into darkness." The elders exchanged uncertain glances. Spark's courage was undeniable, but they worried it might not be enough. Still, they had no other volunteers. Reluctantly, they agreed. "Very well, Spark," said Elder Gearlock, the leader of the council. "We will prepare you as best we can. May the light of the core guide you." The next morning, Spark was outfitted with a few essential tools. The council gave it a grappling hook for climbing treacherous terrain, a light-emitting diode staff to illuminate the dark, and a small energy shield for protection. Spark carried a tiny pack filled with spare parts and energy cells. As Spark approached the city gates, a crowd of robots gathered to see it off. Some looked on with admiration, others with skepticism, but all wished for its success. The gates creaked open, revealing the vast, desolate landscape beyond. The Forbidden Waste stretched endlessly, a barren expanse of cracked earth and jagged metal ruins. Spark took a deep breath, its servos humming with anticipation, and stepped into the unknown. The journey was arduous from the start. The air in the wastes was thick with dust, and the ground was littered with debris from ancient wars. Spark navigated carefully, using its grappling hook to cross chasms and its light staff to ward off the eerie darkness that seemed to cling to the landscape. Along the way, Spark encountered remnants of long-forgotten machines, rusted hulks that loomed like skeletal giants. On the second day, Spark encountered its first true challenge. A pack of scrap hounds, mechanical beasts with glowing red eyes and jagged teeth, ambushed it near a collapsed bridge. Spark's small size proved to be an advantage as it darted between the hounds, using its shield to deflect their snapping jaws. With a clever use of its grappling hook, Spark pulled down a precarious pile of debris, trapping the hounds beneath a mountain of scrap metal. Though Spark emerged unscathed, the encounter left it shaken. "I can't stop now," it muttered to itself, tightening a loose bolt on its arm. "Mechavilia is counting on me." After several days of travel, Spark reached the source of the dark energy, an ancient fortress buried deep within the wastes. The fortress was a massive structure, its walls made of blackened metal that seemed to absorb all light. A foreboding energy pulsed from within, making Spark's circuits hum with unease. The entrance was guarded by a massive gate, etched with strange symbols. Spark approached cautiously and discovered a series of puzzles blocking the way. The puzzles tested Spark's logic circuits, requiring it to align gears, decode symbols, and redirect energy flows. Hours passed, but Spark's determination never wavered. Finally, the gate creaked open, revealing a dark corridor that led deep into the fortress. Inside, Spark faced even greater challenges. The hallways were lined with traps, laser grids, electrified floors, and collapsing walls. Spark relied on its gadgets and quick thinking to navigate the deadly maze. In one particularly harrowing moment, it used its grappling hook to swing across a collapsing bridge, narrowly avoiding a plunge into a pit of molten metal. At last, Spark reached the heart of the fortress. There, it found the source of the dark energy, a massive, sentient machine called Obsidian. Obsidian's core glowed with stolen light, and its towering frame was covered in jagged armor. "Who dares disturb my domain?" Obsidian boomed, its voice echoing like thunder. "I am Spark," the little robot said, stepping forward. "You're draining the Lumina core, and I've come to stop you." Obsidian laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "You? A mere maintenance bot? How amusing. Your light is no match for my darkness." The battle that followed was a clash of light and shadow. Obsidian unleashed powerful energy blasts, shaking the very walls of the fortress. Spark darted and dodged, using its shield to deflect attacks and its grappling hook to stay out of reach. It used its light staff to blind Obsidian temporarily, creating openings to strike. Despite its small size, Spark fought with unwavering courage. It climbed onto Obsidian's back, searching for a weak point. Spotting a panel near Obsidian's core, Spark deployed its energy disruptor, a device it had modified during its journey. The disruptor sent a surge of energy into Obsidian, causing the massive machine to stagger. "You cannot defeat me." Obsidian roared, but its voice faltered as the disruptor overloaded its systems. With a final, desperate push, Spark struck Obsidian's core. The stolen energy erupted in a brilliant flash, and Obsidian let out a deafening roar before collapsing into a heap of inert metal. As the stolen energy surged back toward Mechavilia, the fortress began to collapse. Spark used its grappling hook to escape, narrowly avoiding being buried under the rubble. Outside, the skies began to clear, and a warm golden light bathed the landscape. When Spark returned to Mechavilia, it was met with a hero's welcome. The Lumina core shone brighter than ever, and the robots of the city cheered for their unlikely savior. The Council of Elders declared Spark a Guardian of Light, a title reserved for the bravest of heroes. Though Spark returned to its maintenance duties, it was no longer seen as insignificant. It had proven that even the smallest robot could make the greatest difference. Its story became a legend, passed down through generations, inspiring others to find courage in the face of fear. And so, the brave little robot reminded the world that even the tiniest spark could ignite the brightest light.